Hi everyone, today we're going to join these oak boards together to make a tabletop. If I hold my boards up against a window, I can see how straight the edges are. Anywhere we can see light coming through is a low spot. In order to get rid of any low spots or gaps, we need to mark and plane the high spots. I've chosen these two boards deliberately because the grain matches quite well. When it's glued, it will look like one board. Next, I'm going to mark the high spots. Here the boards are touching, with a gap below and a gap above. Let's mark the high spot, just roughly with your pencil. Here I've marked the high spots with my pencil on the top edge of one of the boards. Here and here. Then I clamped it so the edge was facing upwards. We're going to use a jack plane to flatten these high spots. Let's take a look at it. The bottom face of a jack plane is called the sole, like the sole on a shoe. The hole you can see is called the mouth, and the steel blade I'm pointing to that cuts the wood is called the iron. On top is a lever cap and depth adjustment knob for the iron. This controls how much you're going to cut off. Hold the plane nice and flat, with the handle on the front called the knob and the handle on the back called the tote. That's better, but still not perfect. Needs some more planing. Continue this process of planing in the high spots until there are no gaps between your boards. I'm going to join my boards together with wooden dowels and glue. Here I'm marking where the wooden dowels are eventually going to go. Notice I've clamped both boards exactly in line against the side of my work table. Now I'm using my tri-square to square the lines right across both boards. To finish my marking out for the dowels, I'm going to use my marking gauge. Main parts of a marking gauge are the spur, that's the pointy bit, the stalk, which is a bit that goes up against the side of your plank, and the stem, just like a flower has. This is the thumb screw. This tightens the stalk, keeps it firmly in place. Each of my oak boards are 18mm thick. I want to set up my marking gauge for half of this, 9mm. To do this, you open the thumb screw, slide the stalk up, place your steel rule 9mm from spur to the stalk. It's quite hard to show this. Tighten the thumb screw, double check nothing's moved. 9mm. Hold the stalk firmly against the side of one of the planks whilst dragging the spur towards you. This will create a little groove in the edge of your wood. Repeat for the other side. Here is one of the dowels we're going to use. This is an 8mm diameter dowel. We're going to drill an 8mm hole at both of these points. We're going to use a specialist woodwork drill bit. Notice the little point at the end of the drill. This helps us center the drill bit. I've also put a little piece of tape around the drill. This is set for half the total length of the dowel. This ensures we don't drill too deep. Hammer your dowels into only one of the boards with a mallet. Now we're going to dry clamp the boards together without glue. We're going to use 2 sash clamps, and these are little pieces of waste wood I'm putting in the sash clamps to protect the edge of our boards. We're going to tighten it up, check it all looks good and there's no gaps. Then we're going to take it apart again and add glue and repeat the process. I'm using PVA glue, which is non-toxic, water-based and very strong. Don't forget your little pieces of waste wood to protect your boards. Then tighten up firmly with the Tommy bars. until the glue squeezes out of the joint. Wipe off any glue that's squeezed out with a damp but not soaking wet cloth. After leaving my boards overnight for the glue to dry, I can take it out of the clamps. If we look at the board on the right, you can see it's a fraction of a millimeter higher than the board on the left. We're going to sand this with a sanding belt. I'm going to start with a 40 grit sanding belt on my belt sander. It's going to be dusty, so I'm connecting my shop vacuum to my belt sander. I'm going to give the whole board a sand, but pay particular attention to the join. Now I'm going to repeat the process with 60 grit sandpaper. This is slightly finer. And now with 80 grit. The larger the number, the finer the sandpaper is. Lastly, a thorough sanding by hand with 120 grit paper and a sanding block. When fully sanded, wipe off the dust with a damp cloth. This will give you an idea what the board will look like when it's varnished or oiled. Quite nice. Here's a picture of the join close up. Pretty hard to spot.